Hi, Kira.
Hello. How are you?
Yeah, very good. Yeah, it's been a lovely day here in Seoul. Yeah, it's a holiday today, so just been enjoying the good weathers and everything like that. So, how about you? How you doing?
Very nice. No, that sounds lovely. It's probably I wouldn't say lovely weather here, but it's not too bad.
Mm.
Let's say compared to how it has been. So yeah, decent, and very much looking forward to this match between Carlos Alcaraz and Andrey Rublev, who are on my screen at least just getting started on their warm up.
Yep. Looking forward to this one. I mean, what are we expecting really here? Because obviously Rublev, I've been thinking, hasn't been in amazing form as of late, but in this tournament he's been looking pretty good.
Yeah,
He's come through his matches pretty well. So what are you thinking for this match?
it's tricky, isn't it? I think it's a really important match for Rublev and his confidence, actually. Not necessarily that he has to win it, although I'm sure at the time he'll be very keen on winning it, but just to really compete with Alcaraz, I think would be really great for his confidence at the moment, which, like you say, it's not been a good run for him, but this tournament he's looked better. But in terms of what I'm expecting, I do worry that Carlos, especially having been tested by Struff yesterday, I feel like Carlos could be a bit too much for Rublev. So I am expecting sort of straight sets Alcaraz. What about you?
Yeah, I mean it's really hard to not back Alcaraz here in Madrid. Obviously, he's won the tournament before, so yeah, that match, yeah, the match against Struff, yeah, he that was very close. But like you said, I don't think, yeah, it's obviously Rublev is a different prospect, and yeah, let's see how it goes. But oh, my stream is actually freezing up here. Not sure what's going on, so that's not good. But they still warming up, yeah.
Yes, still warming up on mine at the moment.
Excellent. Okay.
So all good. Did you get to catch any of the Rabaikina Putin Saver match? Obviously, that's just ended a
Yeah, I
while
did.
ago.
Well, I didn't see all of it, but I did catch some of it. Yeah. So that was well, quite the match, hey. So I mean, did you watch all of it?
Not all of it. I think I caught it from midway through the second set onwards.
Mm-hmm.
So sort of
And
around the time when Rabaikina started coming back after she'd broken back.
yeah, and I mean, obviously from what was it, 5-2, 40-15
Yeah.
for Putin Seva in that final set, and I think like yeah, I remember in the second set before it went into the tiebreak, I think she had a break point as well on to break, and then probably I think was that right? Yeah, for to serve for the match. So yeah, and it was it was looking pretty difficult there for Rebecca, but I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, but the fact that she's able to come through this one, you're thinking like, I mean, I did think that before the tournament that she was going to maybe go all the way and win it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, now that she's got through this one, yeah, I mean, why not? Like, but she'll have to play the winner of Mira Andreeva and Arina Sabalenka. That's obviously an interesting tie coming up later. I won't be able to watch that one. Do you have any thoughts on that one?
I think it's going to be really interesting. I think Sabalenka played so well against Danielle Collins, really found something in those two sets, the final two sets there. And I think if she plays with the same intensity, the same skill, the same sort of power in her shots that are still making it to the court, then I do think she'll have too much for Andreeva today. And then that sort of possibility of a Sabalenka Rebecca in a semi-final, I think Rebecca is going to have to play a lot better than she did today
Yeah.
if she wants to get through that. Obviously, today, you know, it's really incredible that she managed to pull that back. But Sabalenka won't allow her back into a match if she, I don't think, if she doesn't play a little bit better than she did today. So that she's going to have to raise her game whoever she's playing, Andreeva, I don't think will be a walkover for Sabalenka by any means. I see Sabalenka winning it, but I think it's going to be a really tough match.
Yeah, and of course Sabalenka, two-time champion here. Yeah, she's the reigning champion. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting one just to see. Yeah, I think I agree with you. Sabalenka is probably going to come through, but it'll be interesting just to see how, because this has got to be. I mean, would you say this is the biggest match of Andreeva's career so far? I mean,
Yeah,
this is
gotta
quite a
be,
big.
hasn't it?
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see how she comes in and handles this one. Hi, Jake. Yeah, I'm definitely ready for some tennis.
always ready for some tennis, Jake. And good morning to you as well, Ashley. I hope you're doing well.
Okay, so where are we now? Because my stream is absolute garbage at the moment. So just going to try and get this up.
Me has just
okay.
Served for the first point.
About serving. Okay. Yeah. Okay. And now I'm with it. Just refresh. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So that's good first serve for Rublev.
Yeah.
What's Alcaraz? Difficult one to come through.
Oh, I think we've just lost your audio there, Eddie. I'm not sure. Can't quite hear you. It might just be me.
Hello?
There you are.
Okay.
Hello to Terry as well. Thanks for joining us. And Ozan Kabak, I love that name so much. Good afternoon. We've just talked about predictions. I think we're both going for an Alcaraz win, if I'm right.
Yeah, but I mean, I do think, Rublev will be competitive here, but still expecting a Carlos win, possibly in straight sets. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a very quick first service game from Rublev, though. No messing around.
Yeah, and that's could maybe put a little bit of pressure on Alcaraz, but obviously very early on here. Okay, so we've also got who else is playing tonight? Yeah, Fritz and Cerundolo.
Absolutely. I find that one quite interesting. It's going to be big hitting. For sure. I was really impressed with the way that Cerundolo managed to dispatch Zverev. I thought that was a great win. Real statement win. But Fritz's win against Hurkacz was pretty good too. So both of them coming through matches that I didn't necessarily expect them to.
And there was it there was good return from Andrey Rublev, and Alcaraz can't control the ball and it goes out. So Rublev creating some pressure early on here. Terry says Ruby looked nervous coming on court.
I don't know if that's just him. He might have done, but I often think when he comes onto a court, he can look nervous. I don't know if he is, but he can look nervous.
I mean, he often just has nervous energy about him, doesn't he? Right? I mean,
yeah.
But
like agitated.
That's not always a bad thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Oh, absolutely, Sean. I totally agree. If he could beat Carlos Alcaraz here, especially in Madrid on clay, then he could consider that slump over.
You still hear me all right?
Yeah, all good now. Very brief. He's of course still got that strapping on sort of, I was going to say his elbow, but it's basically his whole arm.
Yeah.
Obviously not a great thing to see, but it doesn't seem to be affecting him too much this week.
Well, yeah, only he knows, but not ideal, is it really? But
no.
Oh, and he sends that forehand out. So first break point comes for Rublev. As John's asking there, is if the roof is closed. Did we see that?
I actually don't know. Based on the shadow of the court, it makes me think it might be. There's no shadow on the court whatsoever, is there? But
that was a decent second serve there. Kicking out wide, and Rublev cannot make the return. Goes into the net. Yeah, and for Rublev, it's like, it's not only this, obviously it's terrible, he's the slump that he was in, for his own standards, but like, just generally, and he's sort of reached that top 5 level, and he's not, obviously, I mean, the competition is really big up at that top of the section, so like, for him, he would love to get a few more of these wins against the big players, and but it's so difficult for him.
Yeah. Oh. I mean, we're even seeing it from Medvedev at the moment. Medvedev is so good at beating almost everybody on tour except Djokovic, Alcaraz, and Sinner. Right at the moment, it feels like he is incredibly capable against practically everyone else.
And he used to have Sinner's number, but then once Sinner started getting wins, and then hasn't looked back. And
yeah, nice hole from Alcaraz in the end, facing that break point, but coming through. Yeah, John, it did say earlier the weather was dry, but then for some reason in the Rybakina Putintseva match, they were also talking about closing the roof, but it was dry, so I'm not really sure. They might have done. If they think rain is coming, like they did with Nadal.
I mean, sometimes the players might prefer it.
I sometimes think they quite like to close the roof when the Spaniards are playing on the main court, just because of the noise and the atmosphere it creates. I think it sort of ups the ante a little bit. I'm sure, obviously, they'd never do it unless it was raining, but
Got a question here on YouTube saying, what rackets do you currently play with at the moment?
Oh, random question. You'll have to take that one. I'm not a tennis player myself.
Oh, you don't play tennis? Okay. I haven't actually played tennis since last year. I mean, several months, right? So I'll need to get back on it. No, I use a Babolat Pure Drive, and I've used it for a while. Babolat Pure Drive, which is really nice for me. I actually used that same racket. I've got it as well, the Yonex E-Zone but I found that I had to go back to the Babolat. It just didn't work for me. So, is it Yonex has got a slightly different shaped racket head.
Hmm.
The Babolat, though, is powerful.
That's what you need.
Yeah, well, it's good enough for Rafa. I mean, and that was a lovely backhand down the line there from Alcaraz.
Very nice. Just a bit of pressure on Rublev here.
Yeah, well, it's good for Rublev to get first couple of service games under his belt and see now if he can create some pressure on Alcaraz's serve when they come back. But yeah, it's a decent start for Rublev.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially Alcaraz has made a few sort of really good starts in a few of his matches this week, where he's sort of gotten early breaks and put pressure on right from the start. So nice for Rublev to avoid that at least.
And they only played once previously, which was at the ATP finals.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was a straight sets victory for Alcaraz.
Yeah.
But I do feel like Rublev can, he does have a game that could hurt Alcaraz. I do think like players that have who basically hit big on either side tend to do well against Alcaraz even if they don't win. But obviously, Sinner being one of them.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, it's that sort of consistently hitting big that I feel like Rublev either manages to do or very much doesn't. And if he can consistently hit big today, then I feel like he could cause some problems at the very least.
Do I think Carlos can? Oh, you put the comment up there, which was, do you think Carlos can win all 4 slams? Well, US Open and Wimbledon, I definitely think he can win the French.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, Australian Open, yeah. I mean, why not? I definitely think he's a player that can win, possibly up to 10 slams, so who knows?
Yeah.
But he's definitely good enough to win on all the surfaces. But yeah, and Wimbledon was not necessarily one that we would think to be one of the first ones for him to win, but
no,
he did it amazingly. So
he did it anyway in quite spectacular fashion. So
yeah,
I don't think any of the others are off limits. I certainly thought he'd win the French before he won Wimbledon. So. Sean also said Rublev could increase his chances if he can stay calm, but has that ship sailed? I still think I tend to agree that I think Rublev has the potential to do even better and sort of creep up towards the level of the real top players if he could get some sort of handle on some of his emotions. And I think that for him, that wouldn't necessarily mean trying to get rid of those emotions, because it's clear that he plays with emotion and he uses it, and that can be really helpful to him. But I think what we've seen in the last few months is that sort of devolving into something unhelpful.
Yeah, and I remember when Rublev was coming through, I found it quite off-putting, like the way he behaved to get so angry, and I did think it did affect his tennis then, but then I felt like he got better with that as he started getting more established as a player. But I think, it started to come in again. But obviously that's the frustration, maybe, that he sort of hit a wall with his where he was in his game, and don't know, but like, I mean, it's frustrating. It must be frustrating.
What is it now? 10 or 11 quarterfinals at slams with no no progress past that?
Yeah.
Yeah, and Ozan just saying Roger only won Roland Garros.
What actually?
Sorry,
there was something happened. Oh, there was a noise from the crowd because Alcaraz seemed to stop, right?
Yeah, I think so. I couldn't tell because Fergus Murphy was trying to tell them something, but
they've chosen to replay the point. Okay, that seems fair.
Yeah, it'd be completely stopped.
That was a nice serve and volley move there. Alcaraz managed to get it back, but Rublev still finishes it off.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was very. Yeah, Alcaraz often blows your mind with the balls that he's actually able to get to. I mean, it's crazy, but
I've seen a lot of footballers in the crowd today. I think there's quite a lot of few Real Madrid players as well. Modric is there. I think
Modric, David Villa. That backhand down the line going out for Rublev. Let's see if he can keep his cool here. Oh, that was a nice serve out wide and the drive volley to finish it off.
I think I might just be a point ahead of you, but I will just warn you, this next one is pretty good. Pretty good. I'm not gonna go any further, but it is good.
Oh, yeah. The sliding passing shot. Yeah, we like those.
Yeah. Understatement for me, certainly. And a break point here for Alcaraz.
Oh, Justin. And the error there from Rublev. So the break for Alcaraz. I mean, at this point, it's not looking great for Rublev. He really would wanted to have held for as long as possible.
Yeah. He looked like he was doing well in those first two service games, but it sort of felt a little bit inevitable anyway that Carlos was going to find a different level.
Yeah. And of course, Alcaraz can come out and make it serve to make it 4-2. That's just going to make even more pressure for Rublev if Alcaraz can do that.
Yeah, and it's the pressure at the moment, which he perhaps hasn't been under too much pressure in this tournament so far. But I worry that if he is under pressure from Alcaraz here, could we see some of that sort of wild play that we've seen for the last few weeks or months or so?
Oh.
On my screen right now, they're just showing the lovely mural that they've got in Madrid of Alcaraz and Nadal that they've shown. Really, I think, lovely stuff.
Will we see them play doubles together?
I have to believe. I have to believe we will in the Olympics. Yeah.
Or possibly it's Labour Cup. if
yeah, if nowhere else, the Labour Cup seems like a good place for it.
So that backhand there from Rublev looked pretty good, but it just goes long. Or just wide, I should say.
Just looks really relaxed today for me, Carlos Alcaraz. I know he's often very relaxed, but just seen him having a sort of laugh with his box, about to serve. I just feel like even that might kind of get under Rublev's skin a little bit, as somebody who I don't think I've ever seen him look relaxed on a tennis court. That might not be the best thing for him to see.
Yeah. Not a great backhand there at all from Rublev that goes long.
That's a ridiculous drop shot from Alcaraz to seal the game there, make it 4-2.
Yeah, lovely. I've just seen it there, so I don't think I can get my stream up ahead any further. But
no, I will try and I will try and react to things in slow motion as far as I can.
I'll see if I can get it up on another stream, but let's see. So where is it you are now at the moment, Kira?
So I'm in the Midlands in the UK.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah, the Now TV streams are pretty good in terms of being quite quick. but they do just randomly disappear on me, which has been slightly awkward on match point the other day in a Rybakina match, but we made it through. I think that was in a stream that I was in, Sean, where you talked about Andrey for peaking at 16, but yeah, she's just turned 17, so I imagine it's got to be downhill from here, right?
Oh, just lost the stream there. Okay, hang on. So it's already 4-3, right? Yeah. Is that what you're at?
Yeah. That was a blink and you miss it Rublev service game.
Okay, I think this stream is actually about the same place that yours is. So.
Oh, fabulous. Yeah, it's very difficult when everyone's got different streams going and they're all at very different speeds.
Especially Damien's is always the farthest ahead. I don't know why.
Even I'm behind Damien usually.
He's got a direct link to the
I think so.
headquarters. Yeah.
I think he's got an inside man.
So it's changing topic a little bit. Just obviously this is we're in the clay season now. We have the grass season coming up, which will largely be played in England. Will you be able to attend any tournaments when you're there?
Yes. I have plans to attend quite a couple this year. I've gone all out, so I'm hoping to attend at least one day of Birmingham, Nottingham, Queens, and Eastbourne. Yeah.
Wow, the full.
Fingers crossed.
It's like the full. You've pretty much all of them covered there, right?
Full roster, yeah. Yes, I do. I'm counting it as my holiday. Just a few days at the tennis this summer will count as my holiday this year.
Yeah, in the UK, the only one I went to was Wimbledon, which was all right.
It's okay.
But, yeah.
Yeah, of all of them, Wimbledon, I don't currently have any tickets or anything, but I might brave the queue.
There was a decent point there for Rublev.
Yeah, you got just the right angle on that.
Some nice hitting there from Alcaraz. Rublev cannot quite keep up there.
No, and it felt likely that, I mean, just it's come up here on the Insights forehand quality.
Yeah, I can see
at
that.
the moment in this match. Alcaraz 9.3, Rublev 6.6. It's enough of a difference.
Yeah, there's been quite a few errors on. Yeah, quite a few errors on that forehand side from Rublev as well. Oh, and there's a backhand error on the return. It's a good serve though from Alcaraz.
Yeah, it just felt so likely. Like I think I said earlier, playing Struff yesterday, And he was tested there. I think part of that was because Alcaraz's level wasn't necessarily where we are used to seeing him. He was making more errors and such, but he was tested by Struff, and I was expecting a bit of a response almost to that today, level-wise, from Alcaraz to sort of come out and show why he's who he is.
That was quite nice there. They just switched to the low-level camera there. And I quite like to see that sometimes, because you could see the backhand up the line, like how low he was getting it over the net there, and then the lovely drop shot.
Oh yeah, that was a beauty. Yeah, I quite liked the low-level camera during Madrid. Like you say, sort of seeing how low some of those shots are over the net, how the sort of fine margins are a lot more obvious with that low camera.
But yeah, maybe don't want to watch it like that all the time, but it is nice to see. And of course, that's like closer to like their point of view, right? So it's interesting from that perspective. So, another error there.
Yeah. That one looked to me like it was just going to drop in, but went long. We're just checking this serve from Rublev.
Wow. Just in.
Yeah. It looked in. It looked like there was a puff of chalk, so I was surprised it was called out.
That was much better from Rublev there.
Great 1-2 punch.
Those kind of shots feel great when you play them. Not that I can hit shots like that, but it must feel good.
Oh, I'm sure. That was good depth from Alcaraz there to just get it almost to Rublev's feet. He couldn't do much about that one. Just a bit wild on that forehand sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, it's also difficult. You got Alcaraz consistently hitting so well and so deep. Like, but it was a breakpoint saved by Rublev.
Yeah, nice serve to save that one. This is a great point.
Oh my God.
He hasn't put that long.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh,
Alcaraz had no business winning that point. Ridiculous. I mean, I thought the backhand down the line that Rublev hit there was good, and then maybe could have done a bit more than that
I
here.
don't even
But
know how he gets that back.
yeah, it's crazy. Yeah.
Oh, it's a terrible overhead from Rublev, though. It's like painful.
Yeah, terrible overhead though. That backhand down the line again, but and he does enough this time with the forehand.
Yeah. Only just though. He's still getting to it. It's crazy how he's covering the court.
That was a challenge there.
I was going to say, has Rublev challenged that as being out?
Yeah.
Midpoint?
Yeah, on the baseline. It didn't. I'm not sure, but yeah, it's out.
Good challenge. So Rublev holds, and we've got a great question. Who is more athletic, Monfils in his prime or Alcaraz? I'll throw that to you.
I mean, in terms of, well, it seems to me like sometimes with Alcaraz, just the number of balls that he's able to get to is ridiculous, and Monfils is a little bit taller as well, which makes what Alcaraz, what he does, I think even more impressive. But of course, Monfils was, he was ridiculous as well. He'd be running all over the place, but then jumping and doing all sorts. But I guess I would still pick Alcaraz, to be honest.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, that's what I'm leaning Alcaraz, but then you think more about Monfils and some of the shots he can pull off and the athleticism. Yeah, I think it's not as an easier question as it might come across actually, but I would still just about give it to Alcaraz.
Yeah, Alcaraz, but well, I'm not sure. Like Alcaraz, obviously, he the way he sprints around all the time, and that kind of physicality on the court. Obviously, he's really fit. I just wonder whether is that something that might affect him later on in his career. I don't know, but tennis has never been more athletic and more physical.
No, totally agree. And he's just so solid in those rallies today, I think. He's almost... Obviously, he's played some spectacular stuff today, Carlos Alcaraz. I'm not saying he hasn't, but he's also looked solid at times. Like he's getting through rallies sometimes with just, solid shots, waiting for Rublev to make the mistake. To answer your question, Enzan, I'm not sure. If I had to guess, I'm going to go with no. I'm going to go with it.
Alcaraz. Second serve here. Oh, and it's a double fault for Alcaraz. So a little half chance maybe for Rublev to break back. But
yeah. Well, we have seen it a couple of times this week that Alcaraz has just struggled to get over the line, whether that be at the end of a set or at the end of the match.
He could have finished that match earlier against Struffy, right? In that final set.
Yeah, he definitely could have.
Oh, that was really nice, though, that move forward.
Yeah, he timed that well.
Yeah, everything about that was really good. Yeah. Robbie Koenig says a work of art. A work of art he likes to.
I do think Robbie Koenig has a way with words.
And just in response, yeah, I knew I was on camera. I just thought it'd be interesting for the audience to sort of stage producer and what he's up to.
Oh, the forehand error there from Rublev. But that was, yeah. Again, really good hitting from Alcaraz.
I love the microphone, by the way, John. I thought he was just being really still, but he's frozen, isn't he? Never mind.
Yeah, that's what I thought he was going to say something. We're waiting to say
It's
something.
looking like, is he just really still? No, he's frozen. Okay. Well, I love the microphone anyway.
There, Alcaraz takes a set. And it's pretty much gone as we expected, really, hasn't it? So 6-4. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It feels like it was relatively, straightforward.
Yeah.
Rublev putting up a fight in places, but not really having quite enough to deal with Alcaraz yet today.
Yeah, it's just like it would. I mean, it's a criticism always leveled at Rublev. Maybe the lack of, obviously, he hits very well, but maybe the lack of variety. I mean, you never see him like slipping in the level of drop shot. He doesn't have that in his locker, like the Alcaraz can just, just little changes here and there that are. Alcaraz is so. There's almost nothing that he can't do. It's just like he's so playful. He can be playful. Hit it deep, hit it with angle, hit it. And then he's got an amazing lob as well. So
yeah. Like you said, he's just it's hard to describe Carlos Alcaraz because he really does just sort of, it feels like he has it all. So when he plays people with less variety, it does sort of feel like he's got whatever tools he needs to, sort come through a match.
I mean, he hits the ball like a sledgehammer, says Ram Bakshi. Yeah.
Jake saying, you've got to think the one and only way Rublev could win points traditionally is through firepower from the baseline, but Carlos even trumps him in that department. Yeah, exactly. And that's why Rublev is so good against so many people, but not necessarily Carlos.
My internet just dropped then, so apologies for that. But I know that, Kira, you've got to shoot off, so probably makes sense to sort of do it as we're at this juncture between these two sets.
Yeah, I will do. Thanks for having me for a little bit.
Thanks for joining us, and I'm sure we'll be seeing you again soon.
Oh, yes, very much.
Kira.
And we're good, by the way, because I can stay for the next 40 minutes, which could be the match. But I've
Yeah.
also got Damien can take over if it goes beyond that. So we're totally fine to keep going.
Glad to hear it. Okay,
Right.
enjoy,
All right,
guys.
thanks, Kira.
See you soon.
So I heard you say. So I actually lost the connection at, I think, set point. So I was watching the match. Funny enough, my phone managed to stay with the connection, so I could see how that panned out. But the last thing I heard from you was, "Oh, Rublev forehand" or something like that.
Yeah, that was the yeah. I mean, Rublev. There's just been consistent hitting of Alcaraz and occasional errors from Rublev has sort of been the story of the match, and then occasionally some excellent points as well from Alcaraz.
Yeah, we have seen some of the popcorn shots or whatever the what's
Yeah.
the expression? I think popcorn matches rather than popcorn shots, but you know what I mean, right? Some of the Hollywood reel from Alcaraz. Some of the defense from him, even on points that he wasn't winning, was still making me gasp. Which is one of the reasons why I put myself front stage in a way, just to sort of show kind of first of all what I'm doing backstage a little bit, which is a lot of the time looking for tweets or stats or whatever, but also just because I wanted the audience to see me sort of reacting to what I was seeing unfold, which was, telling.
Yeah.
The sleeve thing, I was thinking about that yesterday when during that really entertaining match with Struff, when I heard you as well just say just before my internet dropped. And if it drops again, just sort of sail us through for a couple of minutes, safe in the knowledge that I'll be back. That's a nice pick up there from Rublev. But yeah, I heard you saying about basically it going unnecessarily long because, of course, I think he was 4-1 up in the decider, and he was also up an early break, maybe 1-love with a break in the second set as well.
Are you talking about the
Struffy's
match? Yeah.
And I mean, I was really impressed with Struff. I think, the belief that was necessary to get back into that match in not a hostile atmosphere, but a very difficult atmosphere for a visiting player, impressed me so much. There must be something about Madrid, maybe in his game and, slightly bigger serve volley as well from time to time, his ability to mix things up. Him and Alcaraz do produce, on grass and clay at least, some very entertaining matches.
Yeah, and of course, though, for Struffy, he just won that title, right? His first ATP title in Munich.
And
so
I think that's helping him. I think that was helping him yesterday a bit. It's not like the final last year when he still hasn't won a title and he's 32 years old or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing that it took that long to get a title, but
yeah, given the talent at his disposal and the variety he has, and championship points in Stuttgart last year as well with Tiafoe.
Yeah, and he's been up, like top 50 for a long time. So,
and his ability across the three surfaces, but I think particularly the natural surfaces, which Germans, funnily enough, do sort of historically. I mean, think about Steffi on the clay as well as the grass, and maybe not so much Boris, but Michael Stich and a few others that have excelled on both surfaces. Funny enough, there's not a lot of, despite hosting a couple of grass court tournaments, or more than a couple, there's not a lot of grass courts here. But I spoke to Michael Stich about this last year, and he was like, "Yeah, but we play a lot on carpet, which is sort of grass-ish."
Oh, right, okay, yeah, it's quicker even than
I think it is quicker, yeah, right. But it also shows that they're quite good at, and generally the courts here are clay, is what I'm saying. So, but it explains why they're sort of good across those two natural surfaces I just touched on. It's a nice forehand winner there from Rublev.
Yeah, I was going to say we need to comment on that. That was
putting a bit of pressure here on Carlos.
I mean, that's how good it's got to be, really. I think.
Yeah.
To get into this match.
Yeah. Ozan, please do check out. Go on. What
that was a lovely
turn. Yeah.
Yeah.
Your stream, by the way, I'm close to you, but you are about 10 seconds in front.
Okay, right.
But that's as close as I've got. I found that on my phone, weirdly enough, I'm actually closer to real time, if you like, and closer, therefore, to most of you guys who are pretty much all ahead of me, except for people who tune into the tennis channel who are like 2 years behind. But I find that my phone is closer to real time there. That's a lovely drop shot from Carlos. than my TV for whatever reason. So I'm tuning in on my phone for this second part of the commentary. Yes, he did win Wimbledon in 91, I think it was, beating Becker in the final. And Ozan, please do check out, all of you actually check out the interview I did with Michal just under a year ago. It was just on the eve of Wimbledon where he predicted that Carlos would win. And he said he beat Novak in the final.
Michael Stish, he predicted that.
Yeah, he called it. But so did I. We both said it on the same stream, basically. We both said, but it's funny because he went further. He was like, you know what? I think he wouldn't mind playing Novak in the final, and I think he'll win. This is obviously in the wake of what happened to him at the French Open. And then,
right.
They end up playing, of course, in the final at Wimbledon as well. And I saw him in the crowd during the final because, of course, a lot of the former Wimbledon winners get invited back, especially for the final.
Oh, yeah.
And, but both of us, I had a feeling Carlos. I think Queens gave me a lot of confidence. I know that he was obviously saved some match points in the first round there, but I was like, okay, now I know he's basically probably the second best player in the world on this surface. I think the scoreboard I'm sharing is wrong because it's been saying one love for Rublev for a while, and it's juice now on my screen. What does it say on your what you're watching?
Yeah, it's juice now.
Yeah. So I was thinking that Rublev had broken, and somehow the scoreboard was a point ahead, but I've now watched 3 points in a row.
He's up. He has a game, but it's just
Of course, it's one love. But yeah, of course it is.
Yeah.
What am I thinking?
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. I'm too much.
He was going to go 2 love up, but wait.
Terry probably going few because of getting out of this hole that Charlie was in.
I mean, that's like it's basically. Obviously, he got to love 40, or was it love 40 or 1540 there with the
love 40 in
Rublev?
this game. Love 40.
Yeah, it was love 40, right? But then Alcaraz is able to come up with something different there and get it done. And
he's back to juice now.
Okay.
Jake asking about Andrey versus Sabalenka. Really difficult to predict Sabalenka this year, to be honest with you, because we've had the extremes of incredible performances and dominant performances, as we saw in Australia, both building up to Australia and then the Australian Open itself. Okay, she lost quite badly in the final to Rybakina in Brisbane, was it? I think in one of the warm-up tournaments. So, but in a way, even that sort of sums up Sabalenka. And then post-Australia, where the form has been pretty bad. But then she puts in, for me, probably the best performance she's put in all year. What is going on with this point? Alcaraz there in no man's land, and Rublev picks him off. So we've got another break point here for Ruby. But I am actually, because of that performance the other night, I'm going to go with Sabalenka in straights. But not with any great conviction, because as I say, I just don't know.
So Rublev has got a
4th break point, yeah.
Oh, and it's... Yeah, that was a good serve there from Alcaraz.
Yeah. Yeah, you're not far in front. You're somewhere between 5 and 10 seconds, which is funny because it's sort of a minute or 30 seconds with some of the commentators or very rarely, unless I'm with somebody from the US who's watching on the Tennis Channel, which, to be honest with you, I'm not a fan of the Tennis Channel from top to bottom. Whether they're getting involved in collective Twitter debates with journalists, who, by the way, I'm not always a fan of either of said journalists, but that doesn't mean you have to be in disagreement with everything, that someone says. I'm always I try to be a case-by-case person.
Mm-hmm.
You might have disagreements with, say Nick Kyrgios is a perfect example. A lot of people fall into this bracket if they have to disagree with Nick on everything, or they have to agree with him on everything. And there's no, whereas actually sometimes he might say something sensible, something I agree with. I mean, his tweet yesterday in response to David Law, I think I highlighted it on the show sometime yesterday. And it was like, do you know what? 2 of these 3 sentences are absolutely on the button for me.
Right.
And then he just goes and ruins it for me with the final sentence where he's basically saying, "Oh, hello."
A break there, yeah.
So we have got a break with Rublev on top in that last point pretty much. And that's a forced error for me in a way. It's a difficult one, but I think I would probably just lean towards forced error. So we've got 2-love. So the likelihood of needing Damien to join in 25 minutes is increasing. Do let us know in the live chat what you think about Sabalenka and Andreeva later on, which we'll have on the show as well. Nick and Damien. Oh, is that unlucky net cord for Rublev?
Yeah.
Yes, it is. I'm not quite sure I saw this turn of events, especially as Alcaraz was close to winning that previous set 6-3, and then he just had no problem or not too many problems in closing it out.
Yeah. And another lucky net cord, but going the other way.
Ah, okay. Well, that's evened it up a bit. It's almost like neither of them need to apologize, really. In fact, in a way, especially Alcaraz, because he gets it second.
Yeah.
Terry thinks Miro will push Sabalenka. May well do. May well do. I think it'll be closer than it was last year. I think Sabalenka won it pretty comfortably, but Sabalenka was playing better tennis on a more consistent basis a year ago, and Andrey was a year younger. So by that logic, it should be closer today. Oh, lovely, Andrey. Lovely, Andrey.
But it's still just the fact that Alcaraz even got that back was just...
Yeah, I know. It's still nuts. Yeah, there was a point like that in the first set where he lost the point in a very similar fashion, but I'm still like, how did he get that back,
Yeah.
That was just before, I think, his best shot of the match, which I think maybe came in the next point. Drop shots is one thing, Jake, but I think Mira's also got that athleticism to make Sabalenka play another ball. Sabalenka is better, in my opinion, than Daniel. Slightly better. I mean, Daniel Collins is in the form of her life, but one of the things I do think Saba is slightly better at than Danielle is just keep going, especially in the last 18 months since winning the Australian Open of last year. I think she doesn't get put off as much as maybe some big, like Rublev is a great example where Rublev can grow frustrated when somebody's defending incredibly. And you're thinking Rublev has hit what would be a winner past 9 players out of 10, but against Carlos, it's not enough. And against maybe 1 or 2 others, it's not enough. And yeah, I think Saba is now getting closer to that zone, if you like. Oh, has he hit that wide?
Yeah.
Got a break back point here. Hi, Jenny. By the way, I don't know if you're new to the show, Jenny, but if you are, please click subscribe on that little button below. Jenny just posting a tennis racket.
Oh. Oh. Well, I was going to say that Rublev
I see.
could
I
have
thought
done
it was
better
going to end with
there.
a Carlos winner.
Yeah, and you thought that surely Alcaraz would finish that off, but I guess
It was a little tricky, even for someone as good as Carlos. He was just on the stretch a bit. It did have, for 99% of the tour, it had, I think he's going to have to hit it, or he or she's going to hit this in the net. You just maybe expect Carlos, because he's so bloody good, that he might just make it.
Mm.
It's actually one of those that maybe Rafa would have gone with a dink. Do you know what I mean? Rather than the sort of full-on swing that Carlos was trying to do. Thank you for subscribing, Jenny.
That was some nice backhands there from Rublev. Backhand to backhand exchange there, coming out on top. But we'll see. Can Rublev close this one out? And he can.
Indeed. So 3-love.
Let's see. I mean, I feel like sometimes, though, I mean, I don't think it was that Alcaraz played really badly or anything for that break to come up, but sometimes it's like we're talking about Alcaraz, like he does like I feel like I'm not going to say he like switches off, but like
That's what I was thinking. Yeah,
he sort of loses a bit of intensity, maybe. But yeah, I don't know.
Oh, definitely. I mean, this is something that he himself has admitted to, and I've spoken to him about it on 2 separate occasions. Funny enough, in press conferences, I think it was in Madrid last year. No, maybe Barcelona. Yeah, it was Barcelona, because I said to him, "Look, in Barcelona 2022, you won the title, but it was a case of, unbelievable comebacks or letting leads slip, but then managing to dramatically win matches against Tsitsipas in 3 sets, maybe Davidovich Fokina, I'm not sure, or maybe it was Carreño Busta, sorry, in the semi-final, and a few others in that Barcelona run. I looked at his run, and it was full of losing 4-1 leads and stuff like that in Barcelona 2022. 2023, he was just crushing the opposition, and I asked him about that, especially with Tsitsipas in the final. With that, given the easy comparison, because I think he played Tsitsipas in 3 sets, and it was now 2 sets are much more comfortable and really looked in doubt. So I said that to him, and he said, well, the difference is this. Last year, I was getting in good positions, like a double break or 4-1 or something in the second set, and I would lose a bit of focus and a bit of concentration. Today, this tournament in particular, 2023, it was like I wasn't giving him an inch. As soon as I mean, I'm paraphrasing here, but as soon as I had him in a good position, if you like, I put my foot down and didn't give him an inch, is sort of the translation of the expression that he used. And then I saw him in Argentina at the Buenos Aires Open early, or the Argentina Open early this year in Buenos Aires. And I said, well, Carlos, what sort of, I mean, I didn't say it in this exact tone, but I was like, you were saying a year ago that your focus had improved, but now it does seem as though that sort of has returned. I remember in the French Open same player against Tsitsipas, where in the 3rd set, when he was just cruising, he let Stefanos back in it. And he said, well, I've still got some improvements to make. Let's say that I have improved, but there's still improvements to go. And it does seem to be a theme with him where, his focus just wavers a little bit.
And there was another error.
I saw that beforehand.
Yeah. So,
love 15.
Yeah, well, it's sort of what separates him from another thing, anyway, that separates him from, say, Nadal, because Nadal was like, he's almost like so intense all the time, right? And even when he's like playing someone that's much lower ranked or whatever, he's always got that intensity. But
yeah, right. If Nadal like break up in the 5th against Roger in 2017, or break up in the 5th 2012 against Novak in the 2 Australian Open finals, and same with Medvedev, it's not because of a lack of intensity or wavering concentration. It's just maybe, particularly that Medvedev final, I felt either a combination of fatigue and anxiety. I think he was maybe even 30 love up actually before letting that slip. And there was a backhand, I remember, into the net that was just like, But as Mary Carrillo says, he's basically the only player on tour who can choke and still win with such regularity. Right. I'm also thinking against Medvedev in 5 sets in the US Open as well, where that was getting away from him. And somehow, Federer 2008 final, somehow, find the mental strength to get back on the horse. 15-30 here on the Alcaraz serve.
Oh, that was just ridiculous.
Well, I know who it's from. Yeah, Carlos. Lovely backhand down the line. I think that's something, by the way, talking about Rafa Nadal, a lot of people, understandably, were getting excited about his 2 performances in the early rounds here in Madrid. But I was thinking to myself in both, or the 2 wins against, maybe even all 3 wins actually he had, that he wasn't going down the line with his backhand enough for me. It's a super risky shot, but when you're feeling super confident, and I think about the match-winning points against Casper Ruud in the French Open final, but especially the one against Novak in the quarterfinal, which is a super tricky shot. And I think he'd already lost a couple of match points, but just showed you where his confidence was at on the backhand. Whereas I think he had chances to do a lot. So many times I was watching Rafa on the back and I was thinking, it'd be interesting to see if he goes down the line on this one. And he didn't. And he was getting lots of great purchase on it and lots of understandable praise, because actually his backhand was pretty strong cross court in a lot of the matches. but I like him when he goes down the line on occasion, you know. I don't know if you remember the match point I'm talking about against Djokovic in 2022 French Open quarterfinal.
Oh,
such a tricky shot. I urge you to check it out maybe later on. Just such a difficult shot, and under so much pressure, and bearing in mind that he'd already seen a couple of match points come and go. I nearly said championship points then, by the way, which of course it wasn't, but it felt like it against Djokovic in that quarterfinal.
right.
Okay, Alcaraz holds.
Yeah, good hold from Alcaraz.
Yeah,
could
definitely.
be important.
Could be. 22 minutes already this set for just 4 games.
Has Rafa indicated whether he'll play Rome?
He has given us a suggestion at the very least. I think it was in his press conference last night that it is at the moment his intention. But as always, he's like, I need to feel my body, especially how it is tomorrow morning. Well, I know obviously he's not starting the tournament in Rome tomorrow, but he said that, and he also added to that it also part of his thinking is being able to say goodbye at some of these tournaments as well. And so Rome, he said unfortunately, I wasn't able to do that in Monte Carlo, but I would like to do that in Rome. So it's not a definite. If he thinks that playing Rome is going to harm his chances of going further, I don't want to say far in Paris, not yet anyway, then I think he'll make the very professional decision not to play Rome. But given what he said in the press conference last night, I would put it at 65-35 that he'll play.
Yeah, and it was like a pretty positive tournament for him here because even at his best, this was not always the best tournament for him. Obviously it comes after Monte Carlo where he'd usually win, but
he mentioned that as well in an interview afterwards about Lehecka's serve was tougher here in Madrid than it would be at other tournaments.
Right, yeah, for sure. And that was a good hold from Rublev.
Yeah, because of course, having had not a chance necessarily, but a sniff at a double break, there's always the danger that you go and lose your serve in the next game. But yeah, 4-1 now. So yeah, that's where we are with Rafa and Rome, and in Madrid, the likelihood of him playing Rome would go down. But having gone out at that stage, now I put it back up, and it's good preparation for Paris. And there's if he goes deep in Rome, he'll still have a week, 10 days, possibly even more. Deep being quarters or semis. Let's say he goes out in the quarters, he'll still have almost 2 weeks to rest before Rome, because there's obviously exactly a week between the Rome final and the French Open starting. But if he goes out in the quarters, which will be on the Friday, I guess, because I think they do Friday, Saturday, Sunday, quarters, semis, and final there. Although it might be a bit different with that being a 2-week tournament now. But then, he probably won't play necessarily on that first Sunday. He might play on the Monday or the Tuesday in Paris. So, yeah. And all this is ifs, buts, and maybes. And it's, he could go out in the first round in Rome. But as Terry says, he thinks he'll play Rome. And Rafa thinks he will.
He's always very cautious. The fact that he's even suggesting that he's given it a good thought means he's probably definitely going to play.
Yeah, right. I know what you mean. Yeah. But in theory, Rome being a bit more similar to Paris and a bit more like the other tournaments in terms of an indicator for Paris, etc., and Madrid being a bit of an outlier, on the men's tour at least, that if he gets as kind a draw as he did in Madrid, and by the way, I couldn't get much kinder, I don't think, in many respects, bearing in mind the potentials that could come his way. He could have played. He could have played someone a lot harder than Darwin Blanche in the first round, that's for sure. He could have played an Alcaraz or a Sinner in the second round, or even a Zverev or a Medvedev in the second round. And for sure, in the third round, he could be playing someone a lot tougher than Cashin. So, he could have played Lehecka in the third round, for example, rather than Cashin, and so on and so forth. So, but if he gets a draw as kind as he did in Rome, I expect him to make at least the same stage, or perhaps even further.
Oh dear.
Double fault from Carlos.
Yeah, and there we go. Just like a little bit of a...
In this set, Rublev has won double the amount of points of Alcaraz, 24-12.
Wow, that's... Oh, and that backhand into the net, going up the line, but...
And don't forget, he's been in one or two little holes as well. I think actually when he was in a hole, he actually did get eventually broken, right, in that service game earlier. Because I think we were like, oh, he did well to get out of love 40. But I think that was the game he got broken in, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I didn't really see this coming, but I mean,
we often say that.
It's in keeping with, well, the last match, really, isn't it? But
yeah, it's on brand. On the
we just expect him to. Oh, he's going to shake it off. It's Carlos Alcaraz. He's going to. But yeah.
I'm back again. My internet just dropped for a couple of minutes. Or for a few seconds.
Well, that was... again, good play there. This time, the backhand doing the work for Alcaraz, and he brings it back to deuce.
Yeah. And then if he does hold here, we're suddenly in a situation where, well, it's only one break of serve.
Yeah.
I saw, listen, we kind of, or most people who are watching tennis, especially people who tune into this channel know, but for the casual observer at least, there was a black and white thing, I think regarding service holds, or maybe it was service breaks. It was either holds or breaks, and it compared the three Masters tournaments of, I think, Monte Carlo, Rome, and Madrid, and it was just like, you know, the chances of holding serve on this surface are substantially greater. I don't know how many years they looked over or how many matches, but from memory, it was like the chances of holding serve here is like maybe 65%. I forget what it was anyway, but it was like it showed in black and white the difference between the chance of holding serve, I think.
And that's just, it's the altitude, isn't it? It's the... I mean, a good hold for Alcaraz there.
People mocking me, I think, in the group chat at the moment. I just saw a WhatsApp come up from Tom, because basically I'm going to share this with the audience as well. Yesterday, I was enchanted by that Struff Alcaraz match. Maybe there's a few other factors going on there. Memories of last year's final, seeing how that got away from Struffy. Struffy is someone I have a soft spot, I think, for in many ways. I like Alcaraz a lot, especially the tennis he brings, and also as a person, I love, you know, his fairly honest, you know, approach to press conferences. He's not quite as guarded as someone like Rafa, for example. So I like that freshness. Now that may disappear as he gets more and more media savvy over the years, but there's a lot of things. But nevertheless, I was really enchanted by that match yesterday. And I didn't think it was as bad as some people in our WhatsApp group were suggesting, that they think the level was this. I thought it was still a very good level from both players. Yes, Carlos probably, as you suggested, did switch off. Anyway, the point is this. Now everyone's going, oh, greatest match ever. This is the great. Because, of course, I was basically saying definite contender for one of the matches of the year, that match between Alcaraz and Struff. But, oh, well, it's a hill I'm kind of committed to now. I enjoyed it. I understand that you get that we have emotions. You know, I'm sure you've watched matches of players that you have soft spots for, and and you know, I'm sure there are fans, people in that chat, for example. I don't know if you fall into this category just because of your nationality, Eddie, but there's people in that chat that will talk about some of the Murray matches being the greatest of all time. So we all can fall into that trap, if you like. And maybe that's what happened to me yesterday, but I don't know. I thought it was enthralling. the ebbs and the flows, because drama is also a factor. And yes, you want to see the perfect match, if there ever has been, of course, the Wimbledon 2008 final. But, not every match can fall into that category. Here's an example of a match that basically everyone was salivating over last year, okay? The Alcaraz-Djokovic Cincinnati final. Don't forget, for a set and a half, that was a nothing match. Alcaraz was up a break. In fact, the commentators understandably said, famously, because I made a note of it when I was doing a Matches of the Year review, and I said to Vanch and Gil Gross on that show, saying, look, don't forget the commentators were saying, well, this has been a bit of an anticlimax, and I actually had the exact words. But anyway, what is not an anticlimax is what's going on our screens right now.
Yeah. Oh.
1540. Rublev.
So Rublev saves one. Oh, he saves one of the break points. Sorry to break that fight.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, no problem. You're only a few seconds ahead. So in a way, it's not quite as bad as if it's 30 seconds before. So yeah, I just saw that with an sort of unreturnable serve.
That was decent serve there from Rublev.
Now we're back at juice. Yeah, I think Carlos would be disappointed with that second return. The first one, I sort of said sort of unreturnable. But the second one was very returnable, I think. Particularly as Carlos was so deep for that return. The idea of being that deep is that you're going to get more returns in play.
Yeah, but maybe was he too deep?
Yeah, maybe. But anyway, another one there. Again, that was more difficult. So there's been 2 to the juice court that I think, not much Alcaraz can do there. But the previous one, I think he'll be disappointed with.
Well. Rublev holds on. And it just doesn't look as good for Alcaraz right now at all.
No. Just bring yourself forward whenever you're ready, Damien. Clean shaven, Damien.
I'm fine now, yeah.
Clean shaven.
Yeah, that happened yesterday. John probably didn't notice on the later stream because
I noticed, despite being, like we would say in English, well-oiled. Well-oiled is something if you're not a native speaker. Well, not maybe Damien, you can probably guess, but yeah, just meaning.
Yeah, I mean,
a few drinks.
I know what you mean exactly. I've never heard that.
And there isn't. I think there might even have been an oily glow to both my eyes and skin from the beers that were consumed last night. But
it's like pretty early as well, too, right?
Was that you? I mean, no, I think it was like midnight when I joined the stream, wasn't it? Something like that.
Yeah, but like you came back a lot earlier. Anyway, what was the question you were going to ask?
I tell you what it was. It was about being well oiled. So it's not about tennis. It was about the fact that you sort of got used to my day on, day off habits in Estoril, albeit that felt like a bit of a holiday. But today is my sporty day, and I'm off to play tennis. So thanks for filling in, Damien, and you guys can see this through. And of course, it may well go 3.
All right.
Yeah, there was a bit of a chance for it. I had started watching around, what was the score? Maybe like 3-love in the second. Personally, didn't care about this much whatsoever, but, I can feel in, sure. I mean, it's pretty clear from what I'm watching that, like, Carlos is super uncomfortable with the arm, which was the same thing yesterday.
Right.
And, well, I mean, as I was saying, I think was I doing the Alcaraz Struff match? No, I don't think so. But I guess I was saying somewhere, maybe it was just Twitter, that like if it's nerves, that's good for him, but it's also very likely that he just simply can't hit through the forehand, and I think that's what we're seeing here. I mean, he's like, shaking that arm and correcting the arm sleeve literally after every point, and he just looks very uncomfortable whenever he has to go after the shot. I don't know if you can win the event like that. I guess we'll find out. It is pretty fun too, because it like forces a lot of entertainment from him. I think it forces a lot of like creativity too. Like I think he even said it at the beginning of the week after he beat Shevchenko. So like at the time we didn't pay attention to this quote because it was of course a 6-6 routing, and like whatever he said there about like not being to fully able to go after the forehand didn't matter yet. But he basically said that like he kind of enjoys it because he can't just bail out of rallies. And now we're seeing probably like the bad side of this, really.
Yeah. I mean, he's looking at it positively, isn't it, by saying that? But I mean, he is a player that actually has more tools in his locker, and so he's able to. What's actually going on here?
I don't know. Andrey is arguing with the umpire, but you have no clue. I was in the middle of that previous speech, and I was like too focused on talking to actually watch. But there's some discussion in the chat. Comment from Julian: "Who do you think will win, mates?" But yeah, I mean, I'm not really willing to give any predictions at this stage because it's clear that Carlos is not 100%, but he might as well do it anyway. It's a very good matchup for him, I think, in general. Like just the wide skill set that he has, it just really stands out when you're playing someone like Rublev. But well, if he's like 85% of his usual ability, then that kind of can take a turn. Still think he can win, but yeah, there's going to be a lot more drop shotting. There's going to be a lot more just basically trying to be inventive because you can't win the normal way.
Do you think?
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay, so you think the arm is that bad, but do you think that he's actually just he's maybe not like it's the arm is like bad enough that he's just trying to avoid using it, but also like not bad enough that he's just going to try and like be creative as possible to get his way through this match, but
that's what he did yesterday. That's what he did yesterday.
It's just I mean, only he really knows how bad it is, but I mean, the other way to think of it is that he just thinks like, well, he probably thinks that I can just try and get through this tournament without really using it, and then it's going to be good for the next tournament, right? But
I think that's the idea. I think that's what they're going for. Whether this is sensible or not, only his doctor can really know, I think.
Yeah. Seeing that thing on him, though, it actually reminded me of many years ago when Djokovic had the elbow. We had that thing on his arm, right? And that was when he did really badly. Oh.
Yeah, I mean, he had a pretty serious elbow thing. Retired in the Wimbledon quarterfinal and then took a half-a-year break, basically. And, we'll see. Of course, with Alcaraz, it's like a forearm issue or something like that. That's how they were describing it. And apparently it's like basically fine by now. He just wasn't able to still practice before the event. And, because he didn't even hold a racket in his hand, I think, for about a week just before this tournament began. So in many ways, this is actually a very impressive run from him too. But to me, it's clear that he's not 100%. We'll see what it brings him. Yeah, I mean, can you actually win the event like this? I think it's possible, especially if Sinner goes out to someone.
That was a lovely sliding backhand there, though. But
yeah, looks like we are heading free indeed. So my services will be needed.
Sean says Alcaraz's strokes seem way more straining than Sinner's, but I mean, I can see that. Like, I mean, definitely Sinner. It's just he gets so much power on his strokes that he hits the ball so pure that, and he's a little bit bigger than Alcaraz and height wise, but
Ghosty, why haven't you been to a doctor in years? You should probably do some checkups or something. My dad wasn't going to the doctor for like 17 years, I think. And then the first time he went, they actually convinced him to do this test, and it turned out he had cancer. So, go do these checkups.
Oh my goodness. Yeah,
it's worth it. It's fine now, by the way. He's still alive. He had surgery, but it was kind of lucky given that he hadn't been to a doctor for 17 years.
Glad to hear that. Yeah, you should go to the doctor. Absolutely.
We don't hate Rublev so much, Ghosty. I mean, I just joined. As I said, I wasn't watching this much, but I know it doesn't really fit your narrative. But I'm also just kind of twisting this with, combining this with the Struff match yesterday, after which I said the same pretty much. And to be honest with you, I don't really care what Andrey Rublev plays here, because I don't think he's been the main actor here. Even though, of course, this is a very big result for him already this quarter, because he lost 4 matches in a row going into this one. But to me, the main story here is literally how Alcaraz is a little hampered by the arm, by the nerves, by whatever. I mean, we still don't know what the full breakdown of that is, right? How much is it actually physical? How much is it just him, not practicing before this event? But I do think that's the main topic here. Obviously, we've kind of managed to cover it all by now. So, you'll be glad to hear that there's probably going to be more Rublev talk coming soon as well. Since, I think we've covered everything about the arm, really.
Rublev, more generally though, with Rublev, I was thinking what is his ceiling really? Because it's so loaded at the top there now, and possibly if we go a year or two down the line, there's going to be other players up there competing to get into that top 5 region. And it's we talk about with Rublev's game, there is certain limitations to it, and it's not going to change.
It's unlikely to ever progress into something much more than it is right now.
Yeah.
He's already had an ATP 1000 title, came 1 point away from winning another one. So many quarterfinals at slams. I mean, he gets an easier draw in a slam quarterfinal. He's probably going to make a semi. He gets an easy draw in a semi. Maybe he's also going to make a final. Who knows? But just doesn't seem like his game will progress much from here. And indeed, there will be more guys coming. Jakub Menšík this year already beat him in Doha, for example. And I think to me, in a matchup like this, it's pretty clear who's the more talented player. And it's hard for Rublev sometimes to just take that edge out. We'll see how he does in this third set as well. And
he's gonna, out of spite, he's gonna come here and beat Alcaraz.
I mean, even if slightly depleted, it's still not easy to beat Alcaraz here, definitely. But especially the last 10 minutes, we kind of hardly have seen Alcaraz put a forehand into the court. It's not even about hitting through it anymore. But we'll see. Maybe he has some tricks up his sleeve, and maybe he actually can return to obviously playing it pretty well for yesterday as well. He was definitely avoiding to blast it, but he was still playing it in rallies. Here it's a little different now, it seems, but we'll see. Because at the moment, Alcaraz is literally unable to put a forehand into the court.
Wow. See, that was a wild forehand there.
Yeah.
I mean, that really was. That was more like what Rublev was doing in the first set, to be honest. But yeah. Go new TT challenge. Say one nice thing about Andrey Rublev in 2024.
I mean, he gets definitely quite a lot of like comments regarding his potential that are basically saying that he has, if not peaked, then he's very close to his peak. But is it actually not nice to him? I mean, it's just objective, it's what people think, it's what we apparently subscribe to as well. But I think we've on many occasions said that there are definitely impressive qualities to him, especially how good he is in like literally every match, and basically the excellent start that you need to bring out to beat him. You're never really gonna catch him on like a very bad day. That's just not happening to the guy. So I mean, yeah, we do praise him, just maybe for different things.
Yeah, it's more the fact that he is a good player, but it's just like for him, he would ideally be wanting to get more bigger titles, but it's just there's too many good guys in the way. That's the problem. Oh, that's another poor forehand error there from Alcaraz.
Yesterday I was definitely like sort of unsure finishing Struff if it was just nerves or being uncomfortable. I don't want to say injury because again we don't know what the status of this is, but right now it definitely looks like he's not comfortable whatsoever. But well, he saves one.
Well.
Yeah, here we go, and we can definitely praise. We can definitely praise Andrey Rublev for this point.
Yeah, that was well done. I think, yeah. He's got annoyed by us writing him off that he's just started to turn it on there. Yeah.
No, Augusti, it was just the fact that yesterday I was unsure, and he was keeping the forehand in play at least, He was avoiding it, like he was going to the drop shots a lot of the time, like way too much, even for his standards. He was just luring Struff into the net on many occasions, and this is where Struff wants to be in the first place. But that's why I was like unsure. But like, are you watching the match today? Because if that's how it looked like yesterday, then I wouldn't have been unsure. Well, I still don't want to say injury because again we don't know the status. I just saying he looks very uncomfortable on that wing. Currently, he's like kind of forced into this scramble with Rublev, which isn't exactly what he wants to do. I think you don't really want to just give Rublev that stationary ball and just come at me, bro, because then he's probably gonna overwhelm you. I mean, that's kind of his specialty.
Rublev. I mean, well, Alcaraz still won that first set, but me and John and I were talking about more generally that he didn't really, well, not really last year, but he has had moments where Alcaraz, it seems like he sort of drops his intensity in matches, and he sort of drops, I don't know, say switches off but he, he has these ups and downs in matches where I don't know whether that was sort of slipping in as well, though, in that second set. Because he would have been feeling pretty comfortable, I think, after that first set. But
yeah, as I said, I basically started watching Love 3, so I only saw that 1-4 game where, of course, he saves himself on like Love 40. Looks very close to just kind of, let's get the third set on. But by the time I started watching it, it was definitely like already, pretty rough from him. So I can't really talk about what happened earlier and sort of whether that intensity gone away, whether it went away for some reason. What has he said, Jake, about that injury? I mean, he basically said that he he kind kind of likes playing like this. He was trying to cope with these words because it forces, different ideas out of him, because he knows he can't just bail out of rallies with a big forehand. Now, whether he has said that, it's a possible way to win the title, I don't know. I don't know if he said it, but yeah, I mean that's kind of where we are. So like, we're not actually sure that we can call it a proper injury.
Yeah, that was a
He
nice
just looks
drop shot there.
uncomfortable on it. Really.
And there is the kind of shot that Rublev would love to hit. But yeah, that was really nice.
Yeah, and this was not a bailout drop shot. Like, this was one where he probably hits it, every time, if he's regardless of his status. And yeah, it's perfect. But Rublev will save the break point. Just pretty much like, pressuring Alcaraz early. I don't feel like I've seen any good, turning defense into offense points from Alcaraz either from when I started watching, right? Like, whenever Rublev has the advantage, he usually just takes it to the end. I don't think I've really seen any crazy points that Alcaraz turned around. And he's definitely scrambling here, a lot. So these opportunities could happen. Well, I said it, obviously. Yeah, the commentators.
There were some points like this, so earlier on, yeah, and there was some crazy ones where he was getting the ball back, and then Rublev hit the overhead way out. But yeah, I mean, he probably should have made that overhead, but it was just the fact that Alcaraz was getting these balls back that you just would never expect anyone to get back. But so he did have that, but maybe we didn't see that so much in the second set. But let's see if he can break back.
Yeah, obviously, just as I was talking about it, he did hit that. Well, survived in a point where he kind of had no right to stay in. But it's still a far. It's still a long way back from here. I mean, Ghosty always say this, but like, am I just supposed to, skip some stuff in the match commentary? Am I just supposed to decide not to talk about certain stuff because it fits your narrative? No, of course not. If I had to pick a winner now, who am I going for? I mean, Rublev looks a lot stronger at the moment. So
yeah, I mean, I agree. It doesn't look good for Alcaraz right now.
It doesn't look realistic to me that Alcaraz will win this. No, at the moment, it's already a long way back, and he's not at the peak of his powers. So I don't really think he can do it. I think Rublev will probably continue to dominate this, and right now he is 2-love up.
Yeah, this is not how I felt it was going to go, though, after the first set, I must admit.
Yeah, John told me that I might have to fill in. Well, I might have to, he asked me if I can fill in. And we were talking about I hope it's quick then, because I really don't want to. But of course, at the time, I wasn't even watching. So I had no idea what was going on, really. I think it was maybe even tight in the first set when I said it. Basically, I was just hoping that I wasn't there, I wouldn't have to join. But yeah, here I am. And let's see. This is a shot that Alcaraz was also using a lot in the Struff match, the forehand slice, sort of when he was approaching. Yeah, just again, it's a way to skip his forehand a little bit. He did that actually in a very important point as well against Struff. It was 4 games all, I think, and it was that one where Struff doesn't know when to whether to hit it off the forehand or off the backhand. Like, just completely lost his mind for a second, and he puts this very short ball before at Alcaraz's side of the net, and then Carlos again just doesn't put it away, but plays that forehand slice. And of course, it worked eventually. But even that point to me was like, okay, so he was afraid of hitting it. That's kind of surprising because it didn't seem like it was a shot that would strain the arm too much. So that's why I also think that a lot of it might be mental. But anyway, in this case, it also worked. And it's definitely tough to like put a ball like this over to the other side of the net, especially as it bounces so much lower than all these high topspin shots we see in Madrid.
Yeah, the forehand slice is a shot we don't see too much generally. It's perhaps underused, but
I think it's a little better at altitude too.
that was nice.
If you truly value objectivity, you absolutely should not ignore my narrative. I mean, I can only include my narrative, right? I'm talking about my feelings, so I'm not gonna ignore part of that because it suits anyone. Or if it's if it's good for someone, sure. I mean, I'm just gonna include my whole perspective, but after all, it is my perspective. So. And it seems like Alcaraz will get the game. Jake says in the chat that he's looking desperate right now. Not Jake, that Alcaraz is looking desperate right now.
That was
indeed the case.
I'm just going to run off quickly, but I'll be back.
Okay. So Eddie will be back in a second. Someone texted me, actually, my tennis partner. Yeah, Eddie is in the back. I am back though, as I was. Well, my phone decided to turn off the hotspot because it's overheating. You've been drinking, Ghost? I mean, feeling, not ghosty, feeling as in, including all the feeling as in just my perspective on the match, right? I mean, but you're staying objective by including all the feelings that you have, not by including what other people are feeling. I mean, this is still a tennis match that we're watching, and this is still a personal opinion, right? So I mean, I get it. I mean, it's not going to be objective. It's going to be subjective, but you would be not objective if you didn't include everything you think. Big up, Damien, how it's going. Hey, great. Fact that it's clay, I would have given Rublev no chance to get the skin. Yeah, but we do have some concerns with Alcaraz, obviously. And I'm going to ask you the same question as I asked Alcaraz, asked Silky earlier. Definitely you weren't asking questions to Alcaraz earlier then. What can Andrey do to throw off, make Saba uncomfortable tonight? Ooh, That's a rough one. I wonder what John said.
Oh. Good serve from
But
Rublev there.
it's going to...
Is there a noise? Oh, yeah. Just said a good serve from Rublev there. Yeah, it was the ace. And then game point. Yeah, it's not looking good for Alcaraz here. It's definitely... Yeah, like you said, there's some strange forehands there.
But yeah, with Andrey Vacek, I really have no clue. I mean, it's kind of like the textbook opponent that Mira has been struggling with. So I think it would be massive for her to even be competitive, and I hope it will, because it would be good for the game to like have her, sort of join the ranks of the top players. But it seems like a pretty brutal one, where like she's kind of forced that, to just hope that Sabalenka will be missing a fair bit. Obviously, their match in Madrid was quite brutal last year. I know it's been a year, and I know that people have been saying that, she's probably improved in that year. I just don't know if actually she's done all that much progress, given that the last few months were, well, pretty lost for her. So yeah, personally, I'm not giving too much of a chance to Andreeva today, but I hope to be wrong, just for the sake of the competitiveness of the matchup and her potentially getting just joining these ranks. What else was there? Anything important? If Rublev gets through this one, where will he stand as one of the favs? For Roland Garros or for Madrid? For Madrid, probably the favorite to make the final over either Cerundolo or Fritz, but not the favorite to win it, especially if it's Sinner. But if there's anyone else, maybe. For Roland Garros, kind of where he was, right? Good chance to make the quarters. The semis, though, depends on the opponent he gets there.
Yeah, I mean, you still got a fancy Sinner at this moment in time, don't you? Even if Alcaraz does make the final.
And yeah, we're going to have more breakpoints for Rublev now.
Nice. Alcaraz saves one of them. Decent enough serve. I wouldn't put it past Alcaraz to get out of this one, but it's not looking good. And he'll have to go with a second serve. You see, yeah, that choice of the drop shot, it looked like he was going to go for the forehand and then sort of changed his mind there.
We come back to the same thing, right? We come back to just overplaying the drop shot because he doesn't know how to win the points any other way. And it's not, it's just more of the same, really. And in fact, like, even if we were going to, just continuing this fantastic discussion, if you were going to praise Rublev here for this game, for example, it's just hard to do this other than basically him maintaining that super steady high level, which is what he's best at, really. But yeah, Why did he go for the dropper? Because he's avoiding the huge forehands. I mean, he's just avoiding to go after the shot. He has to think of other ways to win the point, which in 90% of cases for him is the drop shot. And of course, he's a master of the drop shot. But if you start playing it way too much, well, the opponent will be ready. You won't be like picking perfect spots to play it. And yeah, it never really ends well.
Should have gone for the slice. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe it's just a Monica Niculescu type of day, you know. That's what he needed.
What's Sissy talking about? Polish pierogies are just Chinese dumplings on steroids.
Or the other
What
way,
do you-
actually, maybe Chinese dumplings are Polish pierogies on steroids. I mean, yeah, it's pretty similar. I never really got the actual difference between pierogis and dumplings, to be honest. It's really not a big deal.
I've never actually spent much time in Poland. I drove through Poland once. Well, I got the bus through it from Czech Republic to Lithuania.
Okay.
But that's another story.
That's a long journey, though. That's, you know, that requires you to go through most of Poland. So at least from the windows of the bus, you probably saw quite a lot.
I think the only food that I got in Poland was like a kebab that we stopped for on the way. Yeah.
Not too Polish, although actually by the sheer number of kebab places you have here, you
Yeah.
would think that it might have some roots in Poland.
Yeah, right.
But I don't mind that. I like it. You know, that's good for me. So
There's kebabs everywhere. Almost everywhere.
Fabrice Santoro, of course, an
Oh.
absolute legend. The longevity and just playing two-handed on both shots. He did kind
Yeah.
of go full on with that touch.
Yeah, we know Fabrice.
Why do pierogis do that starch with starch thing, actually? I mean, it depends on the feeling, you know. If you're going for pierogi ruskie, which is like Russian pierogis with potatoes and cottage cheese, then you got that. But like pierogis can have a billion different feelings. Like you're only limited by your own creativity. So actually, one of the most popular are just simply meat in Poland. So it's like minced meat in it. So then you don't have starch on this, starch with starch. But yeah, I mean, you're really not limited with anything there. You can go for any feeling you want. So yeah.
Yeah, Rublev is surely not losing this now.
No, it seems impossible. I mean, he would have to have like a massive mental breakdown to go down from this stage, and so far he hasn't looked like it either. Like, you know, it doesn't feel like it's coming. He's kept himself super steady against what's happening on the other side of the net, and yeah, just 4 games in a row from here for Alcaraz. It seems very unrealistic.
And you know, for Alcaraz's prospects going forward in Rome, Roland Garros, if the arm's that much of a problem, it might be better for him that he has lost here to give it a bit of a rest. But well, hopefully
again, this
for him,
is something we have no clue about, right? Like this is just something we're
we just
totally
don't know the
guessing.
extent of it.
Yeah. It's pretty clear to me that playing like this, there's no way you win Roland Garros, and that's what we can say for now. Is there still a lot of time until he has to play his first round match? Yes, it's 20 something days. So,
I mean, it could. Well, it's made me think that like the French Open could be the last slam that Alcaraz wins. Like,
yeah,
because we were discussing earlier about whether he'll win all 4 slams. I think he probably will, but I mean, there's so many things that can happen. But
I mean, over so many years in his career, I would assume, yeah. I don't think it's going to be like a major thing. Australia, if anything, is the bigger problem rather than Roland Garros.
Yeah, we'd expect
it's maybe on the women's, like we might be asking the same question if Swiatek, and then like we have no idea. But Alcaraz, especially because he has Wimbledon in the bag already, and like just to improve right away, really on the surface, that definitely takes a lot of pressure off. But yeah, I don't think we really get like a Federer 2009 French Open scenario where it feels like the only possibility. Just because we also don't have anyone like Nadal who's dominating one slam and like will not let go of it, basically.
No, yeah. But we don't have Djokovic at Australian Open anymore. Well, we still have him around, but obviously Sinner broke through.
Yeah, but like in 2 or 3 years, he's not going to be there. So
yeah, exactly. So. Well, Rublev will have to serve it out anyway.
I don't even know, Jane, if the Ruske pierogi, so Russian pierogis, are actually coming from Russia. I mean, in Poland, they actually renamed them to Ukrainian now. It's pretty funny because, suddenly instead of pierogi Ruske, you have Ukrainian pierogis. And they also did the same with mustard. So there's this Russian mustard, which is very spicy, and it's actually one of my favorites. And now in the shop, they just call it spicy mustard or something like that. And because I'm a bit of a mustard expert, so I went to the shop one time after the war already, and I was after the war began, because of course it's still going. And I was looking at the shelves, and I'm like, oh, this is a new mustard. I didn't know it. And then I come back home, I open it up, and it's just Russian mustard, but they renamed it. Our favorite one slam wonder. Not many of them on the side recently.
Cilic.
Most haven't been winning.
Marin
yeah,
Cilic.
For me, it's probably the Petro, maybe. Who else was there who like won kind of like a random slam? Yeah, for me, it's probably gonna be that Potro. I was thinking about him recently, and like how he really could have been much better than all of that Del Potro, Ferrer, Berdic generation, and Potro, but Tsonga, Ferrer, Berdic, and stuff. Of course, they've never won a slam, neither of them, and he has. So like maybe he's already kind of better in terms of his resume, but like he didn't have the same problems that they had with Ferrer probably being a little bit in the long run, like maybe the shot quality was not that high in general compared to most other top players. Tsonga having no backhand. Who else did I mention? Berdic being like not the best mover on the planet, and he also not taking from his serve as much as he could have really compared to his physicality. And Del Potro like kind of had the whole package. So I think for me, he's probably my favorite one slam wonder.
Yeah.
But of course, there are many reasons why it didn't work out for him. Lots of Real Madrid players here in the stands, I see. Modric,
for Delpo, you felt like if he was around longer, he would have won, more slams, but just, the physical issues were too much. On the women's side, though.
Andreeva Sabalenka will be me and Nick. On the women's, there's more.
I mean, there's much more. In recent times.
Anna
Ivanovic.
I'm going Anna Ivanovic. She was my favorite women's player growing up. Mostly because of the forehand, a little because of the looks as well, but mostly because of the forehand. That was like the most satisfying shots on the tour for me, for sure.
I'm going Penko. Yeah, Ostapenko, 2017.
I like breadcrumbs more. That's a horrible joke. And anyway, Andrey Rublev has just claimed the match 4-6, 6-3, 6-2. Definitely a deserved win. I mean, since set 2 onwards, Alcaraz was very lost. Rublev did what he does best, stood very, very strong. Didn't really leave him any like massive room to breathe. Didn't allow him to potentially get back into this with some crazy defensive points or anything. Yeah, there was no for that whatsoever. And he is into the semifinals.
Yeah, I think he did actually get better a bit from that second set, Andrey Rublev. But obviously, we know that Alcaraz is hampered somewhat. Well, quite a lot on that forehand side. But yeah, good victory nonetheless for Rublev, who makes his first Madrid semi-final, right? Is that right?
Tough question. Pretty sure it is, but yeah, I'd have to check. But I don't think he had any special results in Madrid before, yeah. So especially after that 4-match losing streak that he was coming into the event on, definitely a big one for him. And well, we'll have to find out whether he beats Cerundolo or Fritz, which is going to be the next set of opponents that he can come up against. Anything else?
No, yeah, that's well. It's a good opportunity for him to Fritz or Cerundolo. You'd say he's probably the favorite now to make that final, but
it's not a massive like it's a good opportunity for everyone involved, kind of.
Yeah, that's true. Who do you think will win between that and Fritz and Cerundolo?
As long as Fritz can be like super sharp on serve, lots of quick rallies there, lots of 3 points, probably him. But the moment it starts going into like just longer exchanges, then Fran has an edge. I think given the conditions, probably Taylor is the favorite.
Yeah.
Just
and he's got a bit more. He's done a bit more at this level as well, Fritz. So he's So Sinner, I will play Auger-Aliassime. I can't imagine that would be a problem for him. But hey.
We've just seen him lose a set to Kachanov. We've just seen him have hip issues against Kotov. Like he also enters the quarterfinals similarly to Alcaraz with like a bit of a question mark, which might either end up being a huge question mark or just end up being, just pointless. And then no, actually he just beats Felix 6-6.
Yeah, I was a little bit surprised, I suppose, because I didn't see the whole of the Kachanov match, but then because I was watching the first set and it felt like Sinner was like playing really well. So then I left and then I saw that he'd lost the first set. So I was a little bit surprised. But yeah, he came through in the end and then he was playing well. But Auger-Aliassime though, so he's obviously hasn't been that good, generally speaking, more recently, but then this is a really good run for him to get to quarters here. So when a player's on the up again, you got to be a bit wary because he might just come out, not too much pressure. Yeah, so there is that perspective as well, I suppose. And then Medvedev against Lehechka. That's an interesting one. You think Lehechka maybe we get through that one?
He's kind of like a very similar matchup for Medvedev. It seems like Korda. Just the way they open up the court and can rush him and can close down the net. Korda majorly messed up in that Medvedev match. I mean, he was so close to the win and just suddenly cannot put the ball over the net. And I think that Lehechka yesterday, for example, like the performance that he had, especially mentally, was just ridiculous. I don't know if you can repeat that really in the next match, but if he can, he again has like everything in his hands. Like again, this will not be a match that will sort of be decided by Daniel Medvedev. this is a match where
Mhm.
Daniel Medvedev might stick around in because of what a fighter he is and what he's been showing this week as well in that regard. But like that's a match where if we have another picture perfect performance from Lehechka, I don't think he's gonna lose. But yeah, it's a big if. It's something that he was never really able to do until Indian Wells, really, when he played Tsitsipas and Rublev and defeated them in straights and pretty much played 2 perfect matches in a row. So he has to do it again here, really.
Well, it would be nice to see in some respects. I like his game, so yeah, I hope it's a good match.
And I guess with that, we're just gonna quit. Thank you guys for attending this stream. Of course, it was like a bit of a combo with Kira, Eddie, John, me, 4 commentators, although I think Max 3 at the same time. Anyway, as we said earlier, or like as someone suggested in the chat, we have a stream for Andreyeva Sabalenka, going to be me and Nick. I don't know if there's going to be a stream for Fritz Cerundolo. I guess we're trying to find someone for that. But Andreyeva Sabalenka is definitely happening. That's in 102 minutes from here. And I will see you guys there. Thank you, Eddie. And
Thanks
thanks
a lot.
again. Thank you. See you
See you
guys
later.
later.